masora sei vana vezimbabwe nhasi ndoda kutaura nemi nenyaya ye-rigging. There's a lot that's been said over the past few months about rigging, but very little of it has been based on actual credible information. So I want to talk about four things. I'm going to start, first of all, by talking about how they will rig. Then I'll give you the background process after that as to how I acquired that information and where the information that's currently circulating is actually coming from. So Marikradaktavanava is that they cannot do what they want to do in urban areas because of the level of education and just generally how alert vanhu urban areas are. Saka varida kuchita kumareserve. And how they want to do it is that pama polling station paipaya varida kupa vanhu vavo vavatrainer 3 ballot papers a president. So they'll give them 3 ballot papers. So munhu paanovhota paipaya anovhota ka3 ari munhu 1. Zimbabwe is a presidential democracy. So even if you control parliament, even if you've got councillors, local authorities, the person who's the president really still can run rings around you. And ZANU-PF is in an incredibly difficult place right now, and what they're trying to salvage is just to control the presidency so that they can protect themselves. Afrobarometer recently yakabuda ichitaura kuti Mnangagwa, I think he's lost 6 points, and Chamisa is surging dramatically. Now this survey by Afrobarometer, which works in 30 African countries, and their local partner, Zimpoi Mass Public Opinion Institute, these are professionals, very well resourced, operating in 30 African countries, so they sort of know what they're talking about. And the interesting thing you need to look at when you look at Mpoi, my results Mpoi, is that this was not done 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. It was done about a month ago. So Nelson actually hadn't started surging very well. So Nelson is probably now ahead of Emmerson Mnangagwa, given the amount of work that he's done and the amount of scandals and bad news that has been associated with ZANU-PF over the past month. And just to add to that as well, there's the issue ye vanhu muzimbabwe vanotya maCIO. Saka munhu akabvunzwa nemunhu ari kuita polling kuti uchavhotera ani, kazhinji anogona kutonyepa kuti I think vaMnangagwa ari kugona. So even the 40% that they're saying is Mnangagwa, we don't know. He might lose 0.5, he might lose 3%, we don't know. But what we know for certain is that Mnangagwa will lose some of the votes that he's, some of the people who've been polled claiming that they'll vote for ZANU-PF are actually traitors. Ma G40, and so on. And in addition to that, there's 20% of the population which says that they don't know who they're going to vote for. And now when you look at the kind of poverty and the struggling that's in Zimbabwe, that's happened over the past 38 years. Young people don't have jobs, we don't have money. Young people have nothing really. It's difficult to imagine that someone would not know who they're going to vote for. So ZANU-PF is in serious trouble. And vari panguva yakaoma varume havasikurara. I've noticed that about 36 hours ago, they started looking into things I used to say when I was with them and so on. So when I used to say there's no rigging. And that's true, I did say those things because I didn't have information. Jeremiah Mjuru did not have information how these things were done, because it was done by a very small clique of individuals within the power matrix here, ZANU-PF. But now, things have happened that have allowed me to know what's going on. I was going to talk about this later on as to how I know these things, but whenever there's a power transfer or there's a shift in power, kune vanhu vasingafari. I'm one of those people. And there are people who are in the system who knows kuti vakamirirwa navaMnangagwa kuti after the election vanorova pasi. Not death, of course. Mabasa anopera and so on. So these are the guys who are now releasing some of this information to us. I've worked with some of these people before. I've been in ZANU-PF. I've been very close to their systems. In 2013, I was working principally as one of the guys from media campaign, Professor Jonathan Moyo. So I sort of know what I'm talking about when I talk about ZANU-PF. Now, coming back to how they want to rig, is they want to give three my ballot papers, and this is how they will effectively do it. That's the first part. The second part is that vacha pakuverengwa kwema-votes. You know, vanoverenga my piles of 10, 10, 10. Now ukaverengerwa 8 zvonzi aya 10 MDC matobirwa 2 votes. Pakaverengwa 12 obvanzi pakaverengwa 7 obvanzi I'm sorry, actually I've just made a mistake there. If pakaverenga 12 MDC vobva vati these are 10 votes matobirwa mavotes enyu 2 maviri. Vakaverenga 7 ezanu PF vobva vati pane 10 papile apa panenge pachiverengwa paipa matobirwa vote. ZANU PF has just given itself a fake vote. So I'm going to talk later on in a few minutes about vigilance and how election agents and my political parties, how they will be compromised and what vanhu opposition, namely, because the only opposition to talk about based on my surveys, my scientific surveys, is the MDC Alliance. The rest of the parties, Vanankosana Moyo, Vanamaimjuru, they're all battling for just 3% of the vote. Let me explain to you kuti panovhotwa chii chinoitika. Panovhotwa panenge pana polling officer. Paita polling officer panozoita ma polling agents in my various political parties. Now, when you've got over 10,000 polling stations and you're going to have 3 polling agents for a political party, it's not possible for Monzora or for Nelson Chamisa to know who those people are. Some of the manu vari within the system here, ZANU PF, who are compromised. It's very possible for someone to be working for ZANU PF and you're not aware of it. That person can collude with ZEC. Now, ZEC, there's a perception in Munevanu that ZEC is entirely corrupted. That's not necessarily true. But ZEC has been infiltrated. We know Kunevanu security who've been seconded there, and the other individuals who are also going to be put up as polling officers who are compromised. Mananugona, Ari teacher, or whatever it is, but you don't know. Money talks at the end of the day. Then on ZANU PF's side, of course, they want to win. So my agents at ZANU PF will definitely work in cahoots with a ZEC polling officer if they've come to an agreement. This won't happen across the entire country. It will happen in specific rural constituencies where they know they can pull it off. You'll notice that Zimbabwe Electoral Support Network, Pachedu is a group of professionals. One of them is a guy who was working on Obama's team, who have been looking through the voters' roll. What they found is that when ZEC went on when Zimbabwe Electoral Support Network went on the ground, kunotraga the actual voter, kunotraga otpa number 127 Chirimbizi Road, munanonzi Tafadzwa Moyo, kana Tafadzwa Mkarakate, aripo here. 89% of the times when they went, they found the people. But 11% vakavashaya. Now, it's if you get to my house and you say you're looking for Edmund Kudzayi and they say, no, aenda kumarondera, that's okay. But if you get to a growth point or a village and you say you're looking for an individual, Tafadzwa Mkarakate, and they say we don't know who the hell you're talking about, then obviously you've got a big problem. And panidambudziko, because this comes to about 650,000 votes. That's an estimation, so don't hold me on that. That's an estimation. That's an estimation. So zvavari kuita ndezvekunzi these extra voters that they've inserted pama polling stations these are the ones that will cover up the tripling of those presidential votes. Because they vasina kuinsert these ghost voters, what would happen is if a polling station has 2,000 bona fide voters and all of a sudden there are 6,000 votes, it's obvious it's fraud and it discredits the election. So what they've done is they've inserted these ghosts, and the plan is for 3,000 for my voters I had to be given my ballot paper eka 3. Then pakuverenga my votes again, they will specifically target my polling stations avanoziva, and they're going to have my agents avari compromised who the opposition thinks vana vanhu vedu. So there's need for vigilance. My parliamentary candidates, my local authority candidates, they know the local people. They need to be sure who they're dealing with. They need to know kuti munhu uyu munhu wedu kuti hazi munhu wedu, and they need to keep their eyes open to know what's going on. Even in the event where you've got a good agent, he needs to be alert. Ukabuda ukaenda kutoilet wairasa. Easy. You need to look, the polling officer weZEC ari kupa vanhu maballot paper api emakala akasiyana here, because parinopetwa raukanduka mukati you can't see. So you really need to see kunzi pane ma-presidential ballots mangani apa, e-council mangani, e-local authority mangani, and that will definitely keep you safe and it will help you. This is very important information. Vanhu vane access kuna Douglas Monzora, kuna Nelson Chamisa, ndapota zvangu vatsanangurire zvandiri kutaura izvi. Hazvizi zvinhu zvandiri kungofunga, zvinhu zvandiri kuziva based on information that I have. And I'm releasing this information at great risk to my own person. This is not, it's not a game. Power is not a game. It's very serious, and the people who have it want to keep it, which is why you see there's been a very determined effort to discredit me before I release this information. Kana akambotaura kuti hakuna rigging, amunoti anopenga here, or he's unstable, or he's confused. But I can assure you that I am very stable and I'm not confused. Now, rigging ndapedza nayo. And I want to explain to you the background kuti information engage famba, and I'm going to tell you a little story about what happened to Morgan Tsvangirai in 2013. Story engage famba yema mutating ballots kunzi ink inofamba, kuti ink inofamba pabepa ichichinja the vote and so on. It's not entirely true, but hazvizi zvekunyepa. There's a technology which I'll put on my Twitter account because I've forgotten how to pronounce it. But there's a technology that currently exists that allows you to write on a piece of paper, and whatever you write in it will eventually disappear. I'll post the technology on my Twitter account once I get off this video, and you can then take a look at that technology and understand it. But zvinoitika kune vanhu vesecurity when they consider you a mark. If vanhu vesecurity want to lie to you or give you a decoy, vanokuitira a counterintelligence operation where they win your trust first. Once they've won your trust, whatever they tell you, they will believe. So I'll give you an example of 2008, Tsvangirai paakatiza kuenda kuBotswana. What will have happened over the past 3-4 years is that there was a security agent who was leaking information kuna Tsvangirai. Kunzi anova Tsvangirai chakati chakachikitika. And chinotoitika chinhu ichocho. But usually you'll find that the kind of information they'll be leaking to you is somewhat useful, but not devastating for the other side. So you begin to trust this agent, and they'll tell you, hanomkoma, isu tingori musystem zvedu, but hatitende mazviri, kana mapinda musazotidzingo, please, taneta nazvezanu PF tiri kutambura, and so on. And you begin to trust them. Now, when the time comes that Robert Mugabe has lost the election, and Tsvangirai is right there, he can go into Highfield and come out with 50,000 people marching to State House. They know that. Power riri mune vanhu. Muzambobve makachichidzirwa neZANU-PF. Vanotokutyai. Vanochichidzira munhu one arikuda kutungamirira vanhu. So Tsvangirai vakamusvikira maagents aimbomupa information. Vakamuti makutofa. Instruction yatobuda makutofa. And Tsvangirai fled. He fled, and apologies for that. He fled, and he left power because they knew they'd lost power. You don't hold on to election results for 30 days unless you've lost. And the interesting coincidence, when you talk about ZEC, credibility as ZEC, the same guy who was holding on to that result is still the chief elections officer at ZEC, which tells you just how compromised that organization is. He's got zero credibility given what he did in 2008. Then more recently in 2013, there was a senior intelligence operative, who I'm not going to name, and a senior government official who, in the financial industry, in the financial part of the economy, financial part of the government, I should say, who were going kuna Tsvangirai, because at this time the opposition was not prepared for an election. Vakafutwa neZANU-PF, if you remember, they wanted to refuse. But these guys, over time, they'd cultivated a relationship with Tsvangirai. And what they did is they came to him and says, information yatinayo isusu ku intelligence, we've done our surveys, murukuwina. Musatomboregedza kupinda election, murukuwina. Of which at the time I happened to be part of the system and I knew what was going on. there was a suppression of voter registration. I remember there was a time when an advert was done to encourage voter registration, and the system said, take it off quickly, because ZANU-PF yange go register vanhu vayo quietly, which is why there was this huge scandal in Hatfield that almost tanked the election when AC Lumumba was caught with voter registration slips, something that AC himself, my wonderful brother, will confirm. He was caught with those registration slips, which became a big disaster for the security system, which is perhaps why AC then had a bit of a problem continuing to be a credible voice in ZANU-PF, because he was very irresponsible with what he did, and he almost cost them the credibility of the election. Saka Trankira yakapinda election because angaudzwa with this senior intelligence officer and this senior government official within the financial part of the government that winner. And he went into the election. But we already knew that we had 1 million votes. Zatangata register extra. There was no way that the opposition was going to win. They were gone before the election even started. So, coming to the issue nyaye ballot paper remutating. The technology exists. But you can't deploy that kind of rigging tactic across the country. Someone would steal a ballot paper, one would get lost, someone anobuda narrow. Eventually, you'd get caught. So what I suspect has happened is that there is a counterintelligence intelligence operation yakaitwa pane vanhu opposition. I don't know who it is exactly, but munhu akava convince kunzi vakomana nyaya iri pa ballot paper musabvume. Make no mistake, musabvume kuti ballot paper riprintwe musingaone. Pane zvida kuitika nenikuvu. Now, when you hear that from someone who's been leaking seemingly credible information to you as part of a counterintelligence operation which you are unaware of, what would happen is you'd believe it. And you'd pursue it vigorously and aggressively. And even they'll play ball on the other end. 5 days. Let them push this hard, because it's a decoy. Even they know exactly what they're doing. They don't want you to think too hard about how the election is going to be rigged, because they know if you found out, you'd stop them. So that's the story basically, that's the story of how I suspect this story got into the hands of the MDC. I can assure you, based on the numbers, opposition, I would not be doing what I'm doing. I would just carry on with my business, living my life, which is what I was doing after the coup. If you remember, I just said after the coup, Mnangagwa, you've taken over, you won. It's politics. Let's move on. But now we've acquired information that makes us certain that ZANU-PF iri kudyiwa, haisi kudyiwa kana zvekunzi 50-50. Mnangagwa ari kupukutwa zvekunzi anobuda ne28% of the vote. He's going to be hit very hard because hana vanhu. And a good example of showing you kunzi Mnangagwa hana vanhu. Imagine the election was held today and Mnangagwa was announced as the winner, tomorrow morning. Do you think they would be dancing in the streets? Do you think people would be driving and honking their horns? Do you think people would buy beer and celebrate and dance and say, wow, the crocodile has won? No, there would be sadness across the country. And that allows you in a very anecdotal way to understand the public mood. Mnangagwa hana vanhu. Akapukutwa nachebundo kukwekoko. He's just really a bad candidate. Muna anotyisa, make no mistake. He's not a small boy. He's an incredibly powerful political operator who knows how to play the game, which is why they managed to pull off the coup. Mugabe angasina kuchipa. So Mnangagwa is not a small boy. But muna anochikiwa hadiwe ne vanhu. They've done a lot of very good work, public relations-wise. They've brought in some very talented consultants. Vanapetina gapa vaya varikusenzerana Mnangagwa havana kuchipa. You know, it's not easy to put a president from Africa in The Economist, or to give them an op-ed in the New York Times. This is highly skilled work with my professionals. They've got a lot of money. They've got a war chest. They've got it all. But what they don't have are the hearts of the people. Just to close off, like I said, this information, I hope people will take it seriously. Being more vigilant can't hurt you. No, he's trying to mislead you and so on. But I'm not trying to mislead you. I've just come to a place where I think destiny is in our hands. And if we do this right, tikabuda tikavhota kunyanya muharare, you need to push that vote. 800,000 people need to come out. Even 900,000. We'll never get 100% turnout. But we really need to get a strong turnout. And I tell you guys, it's going to be a new Zimbabwe in January, on August 1 or July 31, when the results are announced, and all of you are going to be very happy. Some of us who obviously we're working for the other side will just be free. We don't want to harass and so on, which is why we just decided, we'll fight you. Anyway, cheerio. Let's vote on July 30, but importantly, let's pray. Because at the end of the day, tinogona kuita zvatinoita papolitics tichizama kasi nyika yatinorarama hatizi vanhu venyama. We're just on a journey here, and ultimately God is in control. Ndinokutendai nenguva yamandipa. Hi guys, one final thing is vane access kunana Monzora and so on, please, if they can get in touch with me. Zvimwe zvacho, some of these things you can't put them on the internet. It's grossly irresponsible, and there's no changes avavengi. So please reach out. We just want to help you so that our country can be free. Cheerio, bye.